Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today we welcome back a special guest who's been on in the past, and that is Jeff from Uptrade, our OTC crypto broker partner. So we're going to dive into SUI, some AI agents, and talk about a few other projects and what they're seeing and noticing. So welcome back to the channel, Jeff.
Thank you, Alex. It's been a little while. It's good to be back.
You've got a few slides for us to go through, which I always love. But any just thoughts off the top of your head about the Trump regulation, the crypto environment, and what you guys are seeing, maybe?
Honestly, each day surprises us in crypto. I know that we've all been surprised over the last few years, but especially as of late. There is a real, big. It's no longer a chance. There's a real big opportunity for crypto to really move forward as an industry, to no longer be held back and persecuted by, regulators and such. Even ASIC have come forward and they said, look, we want to move this forward. So
Yeah.
it's just really great. And obviously, Trump is very pro business, very pro America, and that is sort of making waves all the way down to crypto as well, US crypto companies and the like. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing some red tape get cut this year.
Yeah, I'm still just a little bit unsure about what exactly direction they're going to go with the World Liberty Finance coin, and then they've launched these meme coins on Sol, which is a bit strange when they seem to be accumulating a lot of Bitcoin and ETH based projects. So, any thoughts on maybe how it all ties together? And is Trump just going to try and pump everything to make everyone millionaires, or like what are you thinking?
Well, Trump being a famous billionaire slash businessman, it's quite obvious that there is some form of agenda. There's some form of play there. It may not be clear yet, but it looks like a situation at the moment with a rising tide, all ships will rise, and it's kind of getting that collective consciousness and focus towards crypto, which I guess initially it's looking like a good thing. But yeah, it's yet to be seen whether his intentions are for the greater good of Americans or whether it's for maybe a more self-serving purpose initially.
Exactly. Watch the data as it rolls in. But we'll dive into these slides of yours if you like, Jeff. But as you say, is if they start these strategic reserves and whatever, it's at the very minimum super bullish for Bitcoin, and we hope it's bullish for all these US based projects and alts and DeFi and everything with regulation. So onwards and upwards.
Exactly, onwards and upwards. So get those slides across there. Okay, so I'm sure everybody has heard about SUI. SUI has had a stellar run in 2024 and 2025. As the stats show us there, we have huge amount of development happening, huge amount of TVL, and it's pretty much the one of the fastest growing blockchains we've seen, nearly $2 billion of TVL there. It's just insane how quickly this thing took off. We have seen a lot of L1s, have sort of almost darling starts, but they just kind of fizzle out into nothing. But what was really important about SUI was going to token 2049 and going and actually speaking to as many people from the SUI ecosystem as possible.
Yeah.
I went to the SUI Builders House and it was huge. It was 3 stories. It was just filled with devs and filled with passionate, excited people who were building on the space. We even got a chance to speak with to watch a speech in the SUI Builders House from, I think it was Joseph, the Circle CEO.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, look, we're pumping hundreds of millions of dollars onto the SUI ecosystem. So for me, I check with my analysts and say, hey, is this true? Because we're just big fundamentalists here at Uptrade.
Yeah.
We want to see what's cooking under the hood before we make any speculative plays. And
Yes.
it's just clear as day for us. So
And yeah, and again, appreciate you guys sharing a lot of your research with our Nuggets new subscribers now as well, guys. But for you, what was the point of difference? Because I know a lot of people are saying, well, we've seen this in the past with, Neo is going to be the Chinese Ethereum, and then all these other alt ones that have come and gone. Sol's probably been the one that has stood the test of time for at least one cycle now, being fast and cheap. So I know Sui was saying we've got a lot of ex Facebook devs, and what's kind of did you see as its point of difference to survive, medium long term?
I'd say the programming language is a lot easier. Obviously, it's very high speed. It's very cheap to transact. I think it's even cheaper than Solana. to transact. But outside of all of those things that everyone says that their blockchain does,
Yeah.
Who's actually building? That's what counts. Because you've got to have highways for people to travel on, and like for example, DApps and things like that, shopping malls for people to go and play with, interact with, right?
Yeah.
So it's a situation where we're seeing it's like the trifecta of user growth,
Yeah.
development, and money coming onto a platform, and it kind of tends to be the perfect recipe for price appreciation, and obviously TVL as well, because you end up with a situation where you got the users, people like you and me who are actually going on there. You got people who are building, who have built great products to interact with, like DeFi products that actually, provide good yield, and they actually serve a really great purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously, like every ecosystem, there have been a lot of meme coins that have sprouted. We can't escape it on any chain.
Yeah.
But so far, it's looking good. At the end of the day, the future is always uncertain with these things because they do have to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool. Well, I'll let you push on. I might ask a couple more questions once you get to the end of the SUI
Yeah, sure thing.
presentation. Yeah.
Sure thing. So here's just a quick comparison between your SUI daily active users and your Solana daily active users. The purple line, you can see that's the price there, and then the yellow, that's the users there, the user acquisition.
Yeah.
So impressive growth. It's sort of still trailing pretty far behind Solana. It's still, a significant amount more. But we remember, the early days of Solana, they were having a lot of issues keeping their blockchain switched on, so huge potential. But yeah, there's it needs a lot more scale to compete with some of the top layer ones.
So still a big gap to close then. So if you're
Exactly.
bullish to steal some market share off Solana, yeah.
Yeah, so it still looks promising, but there's still quite a bit of room to grow there. So, looking within the SUI ecosystem, DeepBook has been an absolute darling. It started off at 1 cent, it's valued at 32, and it's just been kind of going under the hood. CEDAS protocol, the leading DEX, it's just kind of like your Jupiter for SUI. That's done extremely well also, and a new one to keep an eye out for. It's kind of like the Aave on SUI. It's called SUI Lend.
Yeah.
So it's just gives people the opportunity to be able to do more things with their assets. And for us, the big one we're looking for is Aftermath. We're actually actively farming this at the moment. So definitely, if you're interested in Aftermath and you think it sounds like a great product because they're doing a huge airdrop pretty soon, I would be interacting with some of these protocols for sure.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Okay, so farming Aftermath could be one of the best plays here for those at home.
Yeah, it's going to be, they're doing a huge airdrop.
Beautiful. All right, what have we got next?
All right, so Hyperliquid. A lot of people got caught offside on Hyperliquid. Huge token airdrop. It's just. I remember. I'm sure a lot of your members remember seeing if they're on Twitter, seeing people taking screen caps of what they got airdropped for this, and it was some jaw dropping figures. And obviously that worked out to be a great marketing tool because they managed to acquire something like 300,000 users, active daily users. So
yes,
huge.
And for those at home that don't know, we have covered Hyperliquid a few times on the channel, but basically a place to speculate on perpetuals by depositing USDC. So rather than depositing coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, whatever, you actually just deposit. That gives your account a credit, and then you can begin to speculate and trade and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So the big standout here is that there's zero allocations to VC. Last year, a kind of whispering narrative and a reason why a lot of leading L1s didn't perform well was around the VC allocation stuff. It's getting increasingly hard to find great opportunities on the market that aren't heavily backed and pumped and dumped by VC.
Yeah.
Alex, you remember back in the day, before the VCs kind of moved into the space. You could jump on, your Bittrex and you could find great trading opportunities and great products at a very, very low price without any VC backing.
Yeah.
it's getting harder and harder. So that's obviously a great selling point for Hyperliquid. They're obviously launching a new product pretty soon, the Hyper EVM. Supporting Ethereum smart contracts there. So we expect there to be a lot more sort of DeFi projects, a lot more development. So we expect this ecosystem to grow outside of just offering perpetual futures.
And this is all built on Arbitrum on top of Ethereum.
It's a layer one, and I think that they leverage Arbitrum for their transactions to be able to.
Yes, beautiful.
Okay. So let's go into the tokenomics, because that's always a really important thing to consider when you're looking at this stuff. Of course, they do have a buyback mechanism, which is not unheard of. It's a pretty common thing, but considering how many trading fees are actually generated, it's pretty significant. So it's pretty decent.
Fantastic.
So I've used the platform myself. It's pretty good. Besides the initial bridging across. Excuse me. Besides the initial bridging across, it can be a little bit if you're doing it the first time, like a bridge always is. But generally speaking, once you've got your assets to the interface, it's all pretty straightforward. It's all very quick and simple to use. So.
And was there a bit of pushback about the centralization? Have they got plans to decentralize more? Or they're quite happy being centralized and fast? Or have you seen some of those concerns on X?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is always that the debate between the security, the decentralization of these types of projects. I'd say that there is no plan to sort of decentralize at the moment, but that is definitely a key concern.
But it's just almost like a hybrid. If people want to think about, your Binances or Bybits or whatever, it's not that type of exchange. It's on chain in some ways, but it's centralized and controlled by a small group of people. So it's almost like the hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find a lot of these products that a lot of people haven't solved those exact sort of issues. We thought that we would have with modular blockchains.
Yeah.
But we're still not quite there yet.
Okay.
So I remember Alex speaking with you recently, and one of your big concerns was, if they're trading a Trump coin, and the thing gets up to $70 billion in a few days, what happens? Who's on the other side of these trades, right?
Yeah. Again, for people at home, if you're only depositing stable coins into an exchange, and then people are trading and with leverage, and something pops. Well, where's that money coming from? Who's on the other side of that trade is kind of the question we're asking with these contracts, with what Jeff is getting at here.
Yeah, because typically an exchange, would be taking the other side of that, or another, or the users on the other side. But here, it's the liquidity providers. So people who provide liquidity to the platform. So say you got 100K USDC, and you would like to earn some money on the fees because there's a gigaton of trading volume on these platforms, especially Hyperliquid, that you could take advantage of on a daily basis. So you just park your assets there, provide liquidity for the trades, and then you get your trading fees. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's not too much else to it. We had a good look at it, and there's no complicated mechanism behind it. It's all pretty above board.
Fantastic. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So I just want to touch on a little bit of AI agents. I know that it's something that has been hot for a while. Virtuals, for us, we saw it earlier last year that this thing just really took off. Honestly, it's probably the leading platform for launching AI agents at the moment.
Yeah.
I remember you did a bit about it recently, Alex. What do you think about virtuals right now?
Look, I've got a lot of thoughts on AI. In general, I think we've started to see some pushbacks from some of these, saying that the algorithms that they're trained on aren't that great, and so that's the sort of the next step. They're not to the same point as your chat GDPs or these other things where you can almost have conversations for hours and not know you're not dealing with a human. So these things on Twitter, you need to continue to feed them and educate them and train them on how you want them to behave and act and whatever. So It's early on. It's a bit clunky and whatever, but that's fine. But I definitely think it's exciting. Like some of these
Mm,
virtuals that we're seeing and these agents come out that are, there's one that we're helping with Pandora a little bit. I'm not
mm,
sure if she's seen that one yet, but the fact that you can have these AI influencers that are making TikToks videos and videos for X and
mm,
promoting a project or promoting a concept or whatever that don't sleep and you don't have to pay, it's an absolute game changer in terms of a workforce
mm.
in an industry that's dominated by attention and eyeballs and clicks and views and that type of thing. So I think this is going
Mm.
to have a big say in how, alt season plays out and all that type of thing this year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, we've obviously seen a huge amount of these agents hit the market, a lot of them failing, a lot of pump not fun things happening. It's wild. It's almost like the meme coin frenzy restarted, but by, like chat GPT bots.
Yes. Yeah.
It's wild. And obviously, it's hard to find once these things explode, it becomes a needle in a haystack type situation.
Yeah.
You go, all right, great. Now there's 50,000 of these in 8 weeks. Where am I going to, how do I find the winners here? If most of them are the same, or,
Yeah.
it becomes oversaturated, right? And I feel that the virtuals protocol, the price right now on the chart, I think that's sort of reflecting that saturation right now.
Yeah, I agree. A bit like everything, and I might talk about that again in our closing thoughts with some of those questions. I was going to wait till later to ask you about the whole ecosystem. But anything else you want to touch on there with Grift or?
Yeah. Okay. So funny thing with Grift we came across it around 11 mil market cap. The one thing that kind of scared us about Grift was the ticker, and it actually scared a lot of people as well. It turns out to be a pretty useful tool. It's kind of like Griffane in a lot of ways. No affiliation, obviously, just a slightly different name.
Okay.
But you can pretty much just give it prompts, as you can see there in the little example. You can make it bridge, you can make it stake. You can make it find the most cheap and effective way to get your assets across. So we are watching it pretty closely. I think it's sitting at maybe 120 mil market cap at the moment. Looking for it to come down a bit in value for potential re-entry, but yeah, definitely keep an eye out for it because I'd say when it comes to our agents, you want to be looking at what is, are you able to deploy AI agents from it? Is it like a AI agent factory that would
Mm.
be
Yeah.
like such as virtuals, or is it offering a working product to make the ecosystem easier? Because you could see someone jump on Orbit, connect their Phantom wallet, and they don't need to know how to do all these things. They can just say, "Hey, I want to move this to this, and I want to swap it to this, and then yield with this amount."
Yeah.
You can do it in one sentence. So that's actually a big helper in the space. And I think their mission is to allow your grandmother to interact with DeFi. So
Yeah.
that's pretty significant, I'd say.
And I guess that's the next step for all these AI models is that voice command or voice to text. So you don't even have to type. You can just say to it, if you're on the computer and you're stuck and you go, how do I bridge from Solana back to ETH? And this AI agent might tell you the best way you can execute it, find other options or safer options, all that type of thing. It's going to lay it out all for you. So pretty game changing stuff as this continues to improve in the coming months.
Absolutely. I think we're going to be looking at a whole different, investing and trading experience in crypto years down the track. It's moving so quickly. It's insane.
Fantastic. Any more slides, Jeff, or is that?
That pretty much brings us to the end. It was pretty short and sharp.
No,
So
that's beautiful. I appreciate that. But a couple of other things I wanted to chat about. So overall, with the ecosystem, you mentioned that maybe it's regulation that's held us back a little bit, but I'm generally starting to feel that we're just lacking some clear narratives. Like you take it back to 2018-19 when I was talking about how exciting DeFi was and showing people how to use wallets and Uniswap and MakerDAO and gaming, NFTs. Everything was new. I just feel like the rubber hasn't hit the road in so many ways, and a lot of the volumes that we're seeing are just speculation on meme coin trading. I think a lot of the Bitcoin growth has obviously been real. But outside of that, you see ETH struggling, Sol's and has probably been the best ecosystem in terms of money and volumes and everything. But again, is that just from memes? So what are your thoughts on what's next here, because I really think we need to start making some impact in the real world, onboarding real users to using real apps. You know, a decentralized Facebook or something. You know, we need a real game changer, because to me it just feels like we're really lacking important narratives other than Bitcoin layer twos and AI agents. That's my
Yeah.
thoughts. But what do you think?
Well, it's I know exactly what you mean, because if we look at previous cycles, and obviously past performance and cycles narratives is never a predictor of future. But if we go back to sort of the 2017, 2018, you're looking at the ICO mania, right? There was a whole bull market built on innovation or vaporware, essentially.
Yeah,
Right? You got two paths. All right. And then the next cycle, a lot of it was, gaming, NFTs, Axie Infinity. But that was sort of spurred by DeFi. We had that DeFi summer before that kind of bubbled everything up into a new narrative, right?
yeah,
And then you look at this cycle and you got meme coins, which is the reason why meme coins are good is because it means new users. All right. The kids on TikTok, I'm telling you, they're not using Ethereum. They're not using Bitcoin. They're just downloading Phantom Wallet and they're just depositing directly through their credit card or their debit card, and they're just trading meme coins
yeah,
because that's what they understand. You know, and if you think about it, it sounds a bit crazy. It's kind of what Murad says. That meme coins are probably the most crypto, most anti-disestablishment piece out there. But it obviously makes a lot of people who are trying to build on innovation and sustainable growth a bit nervous, because it's kind of like, all right, we've come this far, and now it looks like we're taking steps back. And then from meme coins, it doesn't seem like we're able to really clasp on to a narrative that can stick. Because last year, what did we have? We had so many narratives last year. We had memes, we had runes, um, the NFTs were said to have a comeback. Some of them, came up a bit, and some of them did. Punks look like they're doing okay. And then obviously you got AI. Can you name any more? There's so many competing narratives now.
I think that's the biggest problem. It's just so oversaturated. And as you say, new
Mm,
users are coming in via different memes. And
mm,
if they are coming in on TikTok and that type of thing, they're getting completely fleeced by the traders that know what they're doing, that have been around for a cycle or two, that know how to trade and chart and all that type of thing. So that's why I'm just a bit, yeah, I just haven't seen what I'd like to see. And my hope is that because Bitcoin's gone up so much and Bitcoin DeFi looks like it's placed to be the next big thing, that
yeah,
could be a really healthy, sustainable kind of growth and that type of thing. And
yeah.
AI agents using Bitcoin through Lightning channels or on stacks or other Bitcoin layer twos, I think that can be a real big play for this year.
Yeah, it's I tend to agree with you with the whole Bitcoin narrative, and it always comes back. We always go this full circle where we start with Bitcoin and we go all the way around, we dabble, and we always come back to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
But it's this thing where I was discussing with an analyst before the call, this just actual decoupling from Bitcoin to altcoins, and you can see it in the behavior of how the market dynamics have shifted. You
yeah,
see Bitcoin rally. Other tokens, they either don't rally much or they just kind of sit still, or some days they did rally big. But the moment Bitcoin loses an inch, we lose 3 months of gains on altcoins,
yeah,
and that tells me that there's not a lot of sustainability in altcoins, and maybe that bleeds out through the narratives. That's maybe why the narratives are so short lived, because people are so scared that if Bitcoin moves, your chips are gone you
yeah.
know
Interesting.
whereas before we were actually able to see, you've been around for a long time, you've seen plenty of cycles, but those gains were compact. In a bull market, you'd do your 10x on one coin, Bitcoin would come down and consolidate, we'd get an alt season, then Bitcoin would rally again, the whole market would stand still, and then it would just be like this kind of rinse and repeat, but
Yeah,
they would kind of compound those gains.
yeah,
Whereas you got some Solana users who bought in February, at the same price later in the year. It's like,
yeah.
what's going on, guys? It's
Mm.
the fastest growing ecosystem. So, it is, yeah, it is getting harder to sort of get clarity on the market direction and what's actually going to stick. I absolutely agree with you there. So,
And what are you seeing on the front line? So you guys are an OTC desk. For those that haven't used Uptrade, there's a link down below. You guys do custody and other things. But what are you seeing in terms of, if you had to maybe break it down in a percentage of new guys that are coming in for every $1 million you're doing? What percent are you seeing going into Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, SUI, alt memes? Like, what are you seeing?
Great question. At the moment, I guess the tail end of last year, we started to see a lot of new crypto investors coming in and sort of speaking to us, and it's sort of that retail interest again.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of the year, prior to the last quarter, was mostly crypto investors. Like, Jeff, I've been in the markets for 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
I've been averaging in through the bear market, and I'm looking for a way to exit the market safely and securely, right?
Yeah.
This year has been a bit mixed. I feel like after the Trump inauguration and after some of these executive orders, the market, it does seem a bit complacent. It does seem there is a lot of volatility. We saw the executive orders pump Bitcoin and then come all the way back down.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like we are getting a lot of mixed messages at the moment. A lot of the conversations we're having this year are around 2025 positioning. So, what do we think is going to happen this year? Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, and we just try to talk the clients through. If this plays out, if this regulation changes, this is what's up on the horizon. How is that going to affect markets? But also, what risk is on the table? We had a lot of people buy in last year to the USA, the USA only coins. So we're talking about like XRP, XLM,
Yeah.
Cardano, like Solana, all these tokens that like Trump is saying, we're going to not tax these things. We're going to like bring innovation forward for American companies, and they're obviously benefiting from it in the price. And we're just looking how to help them manage that risk, because we've seen a huge wicks up, and
Yes.
we haven't seen anything come down yet. And we were looking at the data this morning on XRP holders, and we go, well, it looks like 99% of them are in profit right now. So what does that tell you? What does that mean? Does that mean that's risky? Or
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so but honestly, we do see a lot of people still buying Bitcoin in the droves. Bitcoin's huge. I must admit, Ethereum is not hot at the moment. People are our outflows for Ethereum are very big.
Okay.
A lot of people looking to get out and just get into more innovative stuff. A lot of people getting into AI agent things like tokens, like what you saw up on screen before. We are seeing a big resurgence in DeFi. We're seeing it in the price, things like Aave. So they're always very good plays to have in the portfolio, to have a well-rounded portfolio.
Yeah.
And I'd say that people are sort of averaging down on a few blue chip memes as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I'd say your definite winners are people who had bought so what's it called, XRP and a few of the USA tokens. People looking to sort of fold profits back out now,
Yeah.
and then a lot of outflows for Ethereum. So
Interesting to see. I've also lightened up my Ethereum, and I've posted about that months ago. But yes, okay, Jeff, I really appreciate that. I love the work you guys are doing. So many people having trouble getting large amounts of money in or out of the banks with the on and off ramp. So Uptrade help you guys get around all those issues. Any final thoughts for people at home? And all the links will be down below in the description.
yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it. We do have a free offer for Nuggets News members, okay, which we actually have for a lot of our paid clients. It's free access to our Uptrade Alpha page. It's a place that our analysts post a lot of their research reports, and a way that you can directly ask any questions with them about that too. So I can give you that link as well, Alex, if that's something of value.
We'll share that in the members group, Jeff. I really appreciate that, and we'll have to have you on again in future.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Lovely, being back here, and 2025 is going to be a big one, and it's good to be in the market. That's for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.